Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another creative sim video. Today I'm finally bringing you guys another video that was highly requested, and I'm going to be sharing my elemental fairies with you guys. If you haven't seen a couple of my other videos, I've already said that I wanted to do a fairy legacy challenge, and so I've been working on that in the background as well as trying to make these sims, and these are just 4 out of 10 I believe that I will have in the legacy challenge. I'm going to release the legacy challenge as soon as I'm done with all of them. I have 3 more to make. Wait, actually I think I made too many. I don't know. All of the fairies that I'm going to make today are elemental fairies, so it'll be the main elements: earth, water, fire, air. I kind of went into this knowing how I wanted these sims to look because I've already created 3, so I want them to look very distinct. And for my earthy sim, of course, I wanted her to look like a black, earthy girl. This is kind of the vibe that I would wear, something that I could see myself having in my own wardrobe. Could I pull it off? I'm not sure. I'd have to give it a try, but I think she came out really nicely. I used a lot of like dark tones, browns, greens, and all of that good stuff for this sim, and I gave them the names that they would have in the legacy challenge. So this sim is named Bricks. I know it's a weird name, okay? I had to use a little bit of name generation and random name generators to figure out what names kind of sounded suitable for these sims. And so Bricks is the Thorn Warden, okay? She protects the fairy glade with prickly strength. Her traits include hot-headed, green fiend, and loyal. And her style is sharp leaves, armor made of vines, and dark greens and browns. Like I was stating earlier, I gave her lots of browns and greens, and for her accessory color, I did give her silver. I think the contrast, the browns and greens, really suits her, especially with her skin tone. And I think overall, she came out the best for me. I think she was still my second favorite sim today. And I started with Earth because I'm a Capricorn, a Earth zodiac sign, okay? So I wanted to create something that I feel like I resonate with. So someone that looks very strong and very grounded is what I was going for the look of this sim. I think I did a good job, okay? She doesn't look like any of the other sims that I've made, but I did have a lot of inspiration for each of these sims. Like I said, I know how I wanted them to look. I just had to kind of execute it, and it took me a long time. Don't know why I'm stuttering, but it took me a long time to get these sims done. Total, it took me like 10 hours, 30 minutes and something like that. So it took a while. And then I'm just now getting to record my little voiceover or whatnot. Y'all, I am going to stay calm. I'm going to remain calm, and I'm only going to talk about things that make me happy today, okay? Because I don't have time for negative energy, okay? Only positive energy over here, guys. But I found these ears, or like Strange Grapefruit released these ears that have like little metal plates on them, and I knew I had to use this for my earth fairy. It is so fitting, and I think she came out beautifully. Each of the wings, I did try to give them wings that I feel like that element would have. So earth, I gave her the one that looks like it has branches on like the outside veining of the wings, like the structure of the wings, if that makes sense. I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do for this sim because, like I said, I had inspiration, and sometimes it just doesn't work. I gotta work with what I have, and although I have a lot of CC, some ideas just don't work out well together, okay? Like it's not able to work, some things are clashing and things like that. But anyway, the next sim I'm going to be making today is going to be my water fairy. And she was a little bit more difficult. I think of course, I wanted to give her a very flowy look, something that looks like, low-key she was giving me the vibes of, what's her name from Avatar? Katara. Okay, I was kind of going for a Katara vibe with the dark hair and the light blue for her clothes. But overall, I think she came out looking like my inspiration. So her name is Elowin Mistu. She's the Dewdrop Healer. So she uses enchanted elixirs and morning dew to heal. I think that's so cute and amazing and beautiful. I feel like I would see her sitting in a field full of flowers and dewy grass in the morning, sitting with morning doves. That's just the vibes I get from her. And honestly, if I could make that in Blender or make that a scene in Sims with poses, I'm gonna do that, okay? And I gave her the vibe of having like flowy, like I said, flowy and transparent fabrics, as well as things that look like droplets. And I wanted to give her an herbal satchel, but I'll probably have to go back and do that since I wasn't able to do it the first time around. But yeah, I think she's super beautiful, very soft. I wasn't going for any specific ethnicity or racial background for any of them. I just kind of went for it, and whatever happened, okay? I don't think I'm going to give them a different fairy look for each category. I think they're gonna have the same outfit. If that changes, I'll do that during the legacy challenge, but for now, all of their fairy looks will look exactly the same for every category. And then as far as their clothing for their regular outfits, I think it'll be easier to give them regular clothes for their human form. I did change one of her traits to be Child of the Ocean, which obviously that would be more fitting for her. She definitely gives off a very soft vibe, very sweet sweet and kind. Low-key, she reminds me of what's her name from Pixie Hollow. She reminds me of Silver Mist just a little bit. Definitely didn't want her to look like my Silver Mist sim, hence why she does not. But then I did try to make these sims have different skin tones. It just really wasn't working out like I thought it would. The first 3 sims I made for this legacy challenge have pink, dark blue, and like stark white skin. So yeah, I just gave them regular skin tones and then more so made their elemental vibes through their hair, their wings, and their clothes, like accessories and things like that. And I think they came out beautifully. Like I was saying, the water fairy was a little more difficult because the water fairy and the air fairy, at first, some of their inspiration and the descriptive words that I wanted to use for each of them were very similar. So I wanted to keep the water fairy more white and light blues, but also a little bit dark blue as well. And then I wanted to keep the air fairy, air, water, fire. Anyway, I wanted to keep the air fairy, you know, more white and iridescent and things like that. So iridescent, she could have light pastel blues, pinks, greens, whatever, but mostly iridescent for her accessory colors. But yeah, I think she came out absolutely gorgeous. I ended up giving her white hair instead of her dark blue hair. I just think that the brighter hair fit better, and I didn't have a light blue that looked bright enough in my opinion. If you've made it this far, I just want to thank you so much for watching and sticking with me. I know it's been a little over a week. I did plan on having this video posted on day 7 of like from my last video, but it's cool, we're fine, we're here. This video will be a part of the giveaway that I'm doing for the Enchanted by Nature pack. So if you're interested, please interact with this video. Like I said, I read all the comments. I like to interact with as many as possible. If you're interested, I also have a new sim talk, which is linked on my page, as well as a Sims 4 CC finds on Pinterest. And I do want to start posting on my Sembler more. I just really have not been focusing on that, and I feel like I could have more reach if I was to post on there. So fingers crossed that I'm able to do that.
And the best part of this plan is no one can stop me.
I have a whole lot on my plate, and I'm looking forward to like better days very soon. Like, it's the light at the end of the tunnel is extremely bright. And then moving on to my fire fairy, I decided to name her Sora. Kind of like soul, kind of like solar, but I wanted to give her a different vibe for her name. Her traits I gave her are creative, self-assured, and outgoing, because I just feel like a fire, I'm kind of thinking zodiacs as well. Like a Leo, they would have a very bright, blinding personality, very bold, very outgoing. Okay, she has fiery wings and orange, gold, and red palette. I gave her silver for her human form, and then for her fairy form, I believe I gave her some gold here and there. And I was gonna use like some actual fire looking wings, but I really do like the fact that the Enchanted by Nature pack has the animated wings. Like, that's really my thing with this, was I wanted the wings to move. I do have a lot of fairy wings installed, but none of them move, so I was really excited that these are animated and they're a part of cast. I also still have the Fairies versus Witches mod and the animated wings mod, so it doesn't really change that, but the ones in cast still don't move. So I'd so much rather put them on them in cast and then don't have to worry about changing the wings when I get in game. Now for this sim, I did give her like a punk kind of alt vibe. Actually, I would say punk, not alt, but that's just me. I don't have a punk vibe or a punk aesthetic, so I don't know if that's accurate, but I gave her a punk look, and I think it's very fitting for my fire fairy. I could have given a punk vibe to any of them, honestly, but I feel like this is fitting for a fire fairy. I wouldn't say she was my most favorite, but she came out pretty good. Well, I specifically gave this sim fire on her body, and I did have some inspiration where she had some markings that were dark blue. It kind of gave the vibe of, like my sister was saying, like the inside of fire is blue, the outside is like red if it's really hot. And even in like sci-fi kind of films, they'll have blue fire, and I think that's so beautiful. Anyway, and then I did also try to give her actual fire accessories on her face, but that also wasn't working. Like I said, when I have inspiration, things don't always work out exactly how I like, but I always manage. And I gave her silver for her human form and gave her gold for her fairy form. we're almost to the end, y'all. I feel like I saved the best fairy for last. This is the wind fairy. Okay, her name is Aria, and the last names are very kind of, oh my goodness, the last names are very much telling of what kind of fairy it is. So if you guys have better last names or first names, let me know. I'm down to change it. Okay, leave suggestions in the comments. But yes, this fairy was my favorite. I have a lot of hairs that look like they're moving, a lot of clothes that look like they're moving, and she came out beautifully. I feel like she has a face that I've never really made before, and I kind of feel like the vibe of her face is important for the legacy challenge. So Aria is a fairy who travels with the breeze and carries messages, and she kind of ties into another fairy I'm going to be making, the golden courier. So stay tuned for those last few sims that I have to make for the legacy challenge, and stay tuned for the announcement of the legacy challenge itself. Okay, I want to make a dedicated video for that. Yeah, so for this sim, I wanted her to be very, very dainty, and for the inspo, there was a particular fairy on my mood board where they had like this kind of neutral grayish skin tone and very beautiful iridescent wings, and also they had moth looking antenna, but I did not give this sim antenna. I gave another one of my sims antenna, so she's not gonna have antenna. I feel like this hair, well, both of the hairs were very fitting for this sim, for a fairy of the wind who uses the wind to harness all kinds of powers, and I feel like she's just so beautiful. I love her face so freaking much. The reason I gave her kind of a worried look, kind of a pained look if you will, is because I feel like this sim, since she can carry messages, I feel like she hears the good and the bad, and so this fairy kind of has to deal with, you know, feeling all of that. And for someone who has to carry messages that are both cheerful and also very sorrowful at times, it will start to weigh on the messenger, if you will. So I had a little bit of problems with this sim's necklace. Some of my sliders are messed up. I do have duplicate sliders all over the place, and also y'all, my CC folder is like 210 GB with just cast stuff and a couple mods. With my build by, my mods folder is 350 GB, and that needs to change. I don't know what I'm gonna get rid of, y'all, but I got to get rid of something. I absolutely have to. I feel like I'm gonna take a break from a lot of Max's Max stuff. My Max's hairs that are black hairs, I probably will keep those in the game, but the other ones that I don't use, I'll probably just get rid of those completely. I haven't used them and I probably won't. But anyway, like I was saying, this sim was my absolute favorite. I also wanted to make her look as though she just flows with the wind and dances in the wind, and I think I articulated that very well with the outfit and the hair and the shoes that I gave her specifically. I think her wings are so freaking beautiful. She absolutely was my favorite, and that is all my elemental fairies. Unfortunately, they won't be available for download just yet, or maybe not at all. I really love them so much, so we'll see about sharing them, especially I'll probably do it after my legacy challenge. We'll see. But if you made it this far, I want to thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to all of my patrons and YouTube members. I want to specifically thank all of you all for your love and support thus far. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I'm always waving.